Right, well, we're back in Whalley. It's a nice day. I hope it stays like this. So, what do you say? Come on, let's go for a ride. And as you know, most of my rides start in Whalley these days. So, I think we're going to head out into the Yorkshire Dales. I've got a couple of ideas. And like I always say, it doesn't really matter. As long as you end up somewhere on a fantastic, classic cycling country lane. That's what it's all about. So I'll catch you further on down the road.
Hello and welcome back to another video. And no sooner had I left the town of Whalley, within minutes I was on these fantastic country lanes. And that's what it's all about for me. So let's have a look at the ride we're going to do today. And that's where we're based, in the northwest of England. And looking at the map in more detail, you can see there where I set off today from the market town of Whalley, which isn't too far away from Clitheroe. So I headed out on these fantastic Lancashire cycling lanes towards Waddington, making my way towards Wigglesworth, which took me over the border into North Yorkshire, where at Rathmel I found myself heading back into Lancashire as I dropped back down into the lovely village of Tosside, before taking on the fantastic climber descent of Keysden Road near Bowland Knotts, where I then made my way towards Eldroth, before having some lunch in Settle at the Singing Kettle Tearooms of 45 miles. So let's get back to the ride, where we're on the outskirts of Waddington. We've cycled 8 miles and we're going down Twitter Lane, and because of the heavy rain the night before, we've got lots of surface water.
Okay, we're 11 miles into the ride now. I can see signs for the Forest of Bowland, an area of outstanding natural beauty. We've got signs for Sawley, Bolton, Bowland and Gisburn, and we're passing through Grindleton. So let's have a talk about the bike. And I haven't really got a favourite bike. I've got a few rallies, but this one is the Rally Ravino C3. And what I like about it, it's a sporty bike. It's supposed to be a ride all day bike. And I've done that on it. I've done 190 mile rides, 200 mile rides, you name it. So I did treat myself and I got a Dura Ace group set for it. It came with Ultegra 6800. Nothing wrong with it at all. It's durable and functionable, but I wanted some bling. So we're on Dura Ace 9000. And the wheels are actually 9100 C40s with 23mm Rubinio Pro tyres. I like a compact setup, so I'm running a 50-34. And on this bike, I've got an 1132 on the back. It might be an 1130, but I always have something for like an insurance policy on the big hills. And I like to run Eastern Carbon, so I've got some Eastern Carbon EC90 aero bars. They're 420 wide, very comfortable for me, and I actually like the riding position. To complement that, I've got like a semi-aero Eastern seat post, and yeah, it looks good on the back. And the only thing that I don't like about the Dura Ace is the cassettes, where they're awfully expensive and they don't last. The carbon spider brakes. Can you see that? That's 150 quid's worth of shite. So you're better off getting Ultegra there. Likewise the pedals, I mean the pedals are quite expensive, but if you get Ultegra, they're much better. I always find the Dura Ace one starts to creak and click after a few thousand miles, and that's it. So that's pretty much the bike. When it comes to weight, I've had it down to about 7.3, 7.4. But that all depends basically on the tyres and how much you're prepared to go as light as possible on inner tubes and tyres. But if I run this with the winter tyres, it becomes 200 grams heavier. So yeah, you've got to look at weight and you've got to bear it in mind. You want a lightweight bike, we all want one. However, if you weigh 85 kilograms or 90 kilograms, You can have the lightest bike in the world. I mean, what's it going to do? The real thing for me is functionality. No creaks, no rattles. It has to be clean. And if you've got a bit of money, and after all, if you're passionate, spend a bit of money on it. Make it look great. Make it look like when you're on it, you feel, yeah, I feel good. And I'm not trying to be a snob here, because I run bikes for winter, which are made up of all kinds of odds and sods. And I'm not bothered, and they work just as good. But I've been cycling for a long time, and for me, if I can't have what I want now, I'm doing something wrong. And again, I mean that in the most sincerest possible way, because I believe you work hard, you play hard, and why not? I can't take all my hard-earned pennies with me. So if we just get round this nice little left and a right, we'll leave Lancashire and we're now into North Yorkshire. And the scenery just does get better and better. I'm starting to see the lambs again in the field. And in a second I'll see the three peaks ahead of me, which is always a sight for sore eyes. There is Ingleborough to the left of them trees. The big sort of kneecap shaped thing in the middle is Pennines. That's the Yorkshire Dales ahead of me. And that's why I come out here. You know this. Just met some cyclists there who are going towards Wham. And a nice chat with them.
And we're actually cycling downhill here now, so a little bit of respite. And it really is a fantastic feeling just to cruise along these country lanes.
We're at 20 miles now, just approaching Wigglesworth Community Centre there on the left. Then we'll get to the main road here, which is the B6478. I can go left to Sladeburn and Newton in Bowland, but we're going to go right on towards Long Preston and Settle.
So this area is Wigglesworth, and there's the Plough pub on the left. We're going to take a left here onto Jack Lane, which takes us all the way into Rathmel. And as a matter of interest, Rathmel comes from the Old Norse language, which means red sandbank. And we're still in North Yorkshire at this point. And then on this section, I'm climbing up Hesley Lane, where I was hoping to find a route towards Giggleswick and Settle, but I actually took a wrong turning, and we'll come back to that later.
You can see here, it's rained a lot over the last week, and we've got lots of runoff today, be like the other ride of the week.
And if you watch my videos, you know I don't like a dirty bike, so I slowed right down here.
So we were on Hesley Lane, this is now Great Close Lane. I'm going over this little stream here at the bridge. Nice little climb ahead of us. Well, this Great Close Lane, it's a good one. It's a bit dirty in parts. You know, there's pick up off the road, muck off the farmers. But yeah, we're on some open moorland now. So we'll just get over this cattle grid, and then we've got a nice little meandering section of tarmac on a nice little plateau section.
So looking around me at this point, I felt like I was going back on myself. And I was just cycling through this farmyard at Long Gill, thinking, I've missed a turning here. And then the views of Pendle Hill really opened up in front of me, which was totally the wrong direction.
Feels like we're going through a farmyard here. Well, you know, I think I've been on this road before. I think I've come back this way with Mike from a trip way up towards Clapham and that way. I think there's a cyclist here ahead. There's a couple actually, but yeah, it's a lovely, lovely, quiet lane. Hey up, hiya. Because over there to my left I can see Pendle Hill. So we've got a little crest here to get over. I wonder what the view will be like as we approach it. Oh yes. See, there's Pendle Hill to the left. And there's the road meandering. This is definitely, it's wild, it's remote.
And looking at the narrow roads, it really gives you a sense of speed. And it reminds you that you are in the wilderness. Well, let's talk about where I think I've gone wrong. And take a look at the map of the route that I was hoping to do.
So we're about 900 feet above sea level on this lovely little back lane. I've got a feeling I've gone wrong. In fact, I know I've gone wrong. If you look over my shoulder there, you can see Pennines. And I've actually got Pendle Hill right in front of me. We're going to come out near Tosside. So I still think we can get back into the Yorkshire Dales.
So let's have a look at the map, and you can see where we set off from Whalley there, making our way all the way up towards Rathmill, where I cycled on Hesley Lane, and I should have taken a right onto Mill Lane, which would have took me through Wham, and eventually then onto Giggleswick and Settle. And if you're with a bunch of guys and you take the wrong turning, it doesn't always go down well, but on this occasion it made the ride even better.
So there's Pendle Hill over there. That's a fantastic viewpoint, and we just cycled in this mid-ground right through here, and we've somehow ended up coming back up here. So there is one of your 3 peaks there. Doesn't that look fantastic? But I think we're going to have to re-look at this ride now and plan a different route, but it doesn't matter at all that. Like I say, we always come out to these places and we think, right, no matter what happens, it's going to be great. So this is Tosside, and there's the old Vicarage Tearooms. So now I know where that road meets up. That's good. We'll go this way though.
And looking ahead there, they are the Bowland Fells. It's a magnificent view, and it's in the heart of rural Lancashire.
So there's Dalehead Church. It's quite a unique landmark around here, I would say. And we've just got some nice lanes now, heading in the right direction.
And then I cycled past Stocks Reservoir. What a lovely location this is, before the big climb, which took me up School Lane and then on to Keysden Road. That's quite a tough climb.
Well, that was hard work. I'm now over 1200 feet above sea level. I've got Stocks Res way behind me. The Bowland Knots are in front of me. And I can see Pennines just looking absolutely fantastic to the right. And way over my shoulder in the distance you can see Pendle Hill. So there is the summit. You can make out like a little section in the middle, like a saddle section. It's a U shape, and the road turns left and then makes a right and goes straight through it. A lovely outcrop of rock, that high up in one of my favourite places in the UK. What a view! Don't you just love a view like that? That is as good as it gets, and we're going to go down it now.
So this is the descent of Keysden Road, and I've just got one thing to say about it. It's wicked. You really can get some speed. There's some fantastic corners to take. You've got pretty good visibility ahead of you as well. And if ever you are in this area, it's always worth a visit.
Well, that descent there is a double dip. Levels off here, so I'll have a breather. I saw 45 miles an hour there. They're good roads. I've had to stop again just to look at the view. That is fantastic. And way over there in the distance, them hills over there, that's Sedbergh. That's basically Cumbria. So Settle is somewhere over there. I need to get a move on because it's 3:30. And you know what the cafes are like around these places? By 4 o'clock, they're shutting up.
I'm cycling through Eldroth here at 40 miles. And it's always good to keep an eye out for the local rock formations, and you can see where some of the dry stone walls are incorporated with the erratic boulders and exposed outcrops. And so I made my way down Paley Green Lane, and I went under the railway bridge, which is the Bentham line, which runs between Leeds and Morecambe via Skipton, and I'm crossing the busy A65 here, onto Brackenbear Lane at Giggleswick. So this is the small market town of Settle, which is in the Craven district of North Yorkshire. But historically it was part of the West Riding of Yorkshire, and it's thought to have 7th century Anglian origins. And when you visit this area, you can't help but notice all of the limestone, dry stone walls and rocks, and Settle is nestled beneath the limestone crag of Castleberg. And I've been cycling here ever since I was 13 years of age, when the guys from Tobard and Wheelers took me out to places like this, and I've never looked back since. It's also a popular stopping point for many coast-to-coast cycling routes, including the Way of the Roses, to name but a few. The North West Passage 200km Audax also used to use Settle as a checkpoint. But let's get back to the cafe, where it was time for some well-earned refreshments. So this is the Singing Kettle Tearooms. Look at that, we've got a scone at last. And as always, cut it delicately and gently down the middle. Put your cream on first. That's a rule to this cycling club. And at the moment there's only one member. Then we've got to put the jam on. Lovely jubbly. Look at that. That is perfection. And that went down a treat. And then a lovely cup of Yorkshire tea to wash it all down. Don't forget, with a pot of tea, you can always get a refill, and they're normally for free. And then that flapjack hit the spot as well.
Thank you. Cheers. Good little cafe, that. Right, let's get a route back.
And so I decided to take on a classic climb, where I went up the cobbled section of Victoria Street, which then led me on to Albert Hill, and eventually High Hill Lane, which is a classic climb in the Yorkshire Dales, with gradients of over 20%.
This is a good idea. The big climb out of Settle towards Kirby Malham and Malham. Whose idea was this? Obviously it were mine, because I'm a cyclist and I live in the Pennines. And the actual Pennine Way crosses up here, way ahead. So let's keep going and I'll see you near the top. So we've got the severe section of the climb over now, and that backdrop there, that is a fantastic view. You know, you're cycling in the Yorkshire Dales, that is classic Yorkshire Dales territory. Just look at that. You could be anywhere in the world and you don't need a passport to go and see this. I always get blown away by that. So this is the summit, this is like the plateau area again. Lovely tree outline there. Hello! You've got to stop and have a look at the Highland cattle when you're up here. They're minding their own business. But we've got a ride to do, so come on.
And then I took on this lovely little descent from the summit here of Grange Lane, which then led on to Cow Close Lane, where I descended from 1280 feet above sea level down to Kirby Malham at 600 feet in the valley below. And I cycled 50 miles at this stage.
Well, you've just got to like descents. That was a nice little descent. You've got Malham that way, okay. We can go that way towards Skipton and Gargrave. We're going to make our way that way anyway. What a beautiful little place this is.
And so I made my way towards Ayrton, and then on towards Belbusk. And the church bells are ringing. And so Hellifield was next, and I took a left here onto Gisburn Road. I was feeling good, and the pace was pretty high. And just on the right there is the car park, which is free to use, and is a great place to start many rides in this area.
Rightio, well that's 65 miles done. I've got Gisburn behind me there, and I think we'll call it a day with a ride now for you people. It's been a cracking ride, an excellent ride again. I came back through Hellifield and I got on the 682. We're now on the A59. I'm going to stick on here for quite a bit. I can keep the pace high, it's getting quite late. It's not that busy though because the Grand National's on. But anyway, I hope you've enjoyed today's ride as much as I have, because the views over there were just fantastic. You just can't go wrong. Lancashire and North Yorkshire over here. Get yourself out here and get yourself out on a bike ride. Okay, come on then. Let's clip in. Yep. I'll see you on the next one.
Well, that was a really good ride, and by the time I got back to the town of Whalley, everybody was ready for a night out. And in the end, I cycled 75 miles and climbed over 6,100 feet in elevation, and the ride time was 5 hours and 40 minutes. There were some great descents and some fantastic climbs. And I'd like to take this opportunity to thank you all for your continued support and for watching these cycling videos. And if you see me out on the road, give me a shout. I'm a cyclist and I live in the Pennines. Until the next time, people.
I hope that the view behind me there does it some justice. It's tranquil, it's peaceful, it's well managed as well. And sometimes it's hard to talk about it, you just got to look at it and appreciate it.